Welcome to the Multi-Hyphenate, your campus for creatives, entrepreneurs, and anyone living outside the box. If you're learning to navigate business, art, and magic, consider this your creativity MBA. I'm Margaret, your favorite housemate, and a multi-hyphenate fairy who built a six-figure career ignoring literally every single rule. As your favorite roommate, expect to hang out for late-night talks about what I'm learning one-on-one, head to workshops with me to learn tools, probably get dragged to some house parties, and meet some of my favorite entrepreneur friends to hear their stories of redefining success. Welcome home. Harmonie Krieger, welcome to the Multi-Hyphenate. You are the breakout star of Jewish matchmaking, as Google calls you, in addition to being a dating coach, a matchmaker. You work with Lox Club as well as your own private practice. You're kind of a badass, and I connected with you because I had the opportunity to help you produce some reels and TikToks. Yeah. And I wanted to say, which I mean, I've kind of already said to you in like 8 voice notes, but I was just so blown away by you because I've never really talked to a dating coach. And I think I had honestly some bias around, like, I feel like all the dating coaches out there have like the kind of same shtick online about like red flags, green flags, this, that, and the other thing. And so I feel, and this is part of my world, so complex in the way that I approach dating and the nuances of my inner world. And I'm someone who's dating with like CPTSD and like, a history of trauma. And so I was like, she's not going to get me. And then we started talking for an hour about my situationships, about my dating. And you like got in there on these really specific pieces where I was like, you're fucking amazing. And I want to talk to you about this because I think this is like a really unique conversation to have about dating as someone who has giant wide emotional ranges and depths and can both be someone who's really silly and light and inner child and fairy, as well as someone who really appreciates depth and has done like a decade plus of therapy work. Anything else I should add on your intro?
I mean, if you could just intro me every day to everyone I meet. Also, I think I would have so many more clients because of you.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. So
no, I appreciate that. But it takes one to know one, and I always say this.
My fairy friend.
Yes, and here's the thing. It's as if everybody is not for everybody.
Yeah.
It goes with dating. It goes with therapy.
Yep.
And you have to really find the people you jam with.
Even in coaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not the coach for everybody.
Right.
Like, I know that I've had a couple of people where I'm like, I don't even think I can get in there because, again, I'm not a therapist, right? So if they don't seem open to the things that I'm saying, yes, I could take it there. But I really want to work with people that are really looking to do things differently. And that's the key to this entire thing about dating in 2025. And I know we're going to get into all the grooves, but I just see an overarching theme of like being down and depressed about the dating apps. And we all don't love it. We want to go back to old school and meet in real life. And poor Gen Z who doesn't even know what that is. No, but we want to do that, but we are where we are. Yeah. Just like we can't change the world tomorrow and what's going on. And I think if we take a different dating approach and we start having fun again, which is basically all the things I said in Jewish matchmaking was when I was on the show, which I felt that I couldn't have my inner child come to life in a lot of these dates, and how important it was to me to bring that out and who I get to bring that out with. So in meeting you, like, I mean, Margaret, I was like, this is the most glowy fairy human. Like, I feel like you are my spirit animal. The minute I saw I saw the jacket in your closet, and I'm like, where do I get this? And how does she know what I like secretly want to wear every day? So again, it's easy when you really resonate with someone, and I could like see you so clearly. And your job is to see people, look at what you do. But also in working with people that don't actually get me in the first few moments, that's also a beautiful challenge because they have to trust me, and I have to tap into something that's really like a pain point for them to like gain that trust. And so,
I think I even had that with you, right?
Yeah.
Like once we started talking about it, I was like, oh, how did you become a dating coach?
So it's really funny.
Guide.
Yes, guide. Thank you.
Dating guide.
You know what? The show was always meant to be this. I knew I was going on that show to find love, but secretly, like, my intuitive soul said, I don't think your guy is from the show. I think your purpose is the show. And because I went on this, and afterward, the messages that I got from women just resonating with my story. I'm in my 40s. I'm Jewish. I was supposed to get married at a certain age. I was supposed to have a child. I am a creative. I am a business person. I'm a free spirit. I didn't want to stay in New York. I wanted to come out to the West Coast and explore and adventure and all these things that when you are in this little box, you're not meant to do bigger things. And I knew that I'd always get married later. I just didn't know it would be this late, but also didn't predict the world would become what it is. So if I was to be dating back when I was 25, no problem, married, 3 kids, whatever. That was not my path. And back to becoming a dating coach after that show and talking to so many women and just feeling where they are. And I felt that I was there so they could be seen as well. And that was the most beautiful. I had 20-year-olds messaging me, 20-year-olds saying, how do I gain this confidence? And now I'm thinking about it because not until we spoke, I think about every single age of female that messaged me. It was 20s to 70s.
Wild.
Because everybody sees themselves a little piece within each other's story. So even if someone's 20 and wanted to get married,
I also think it's one of the most vulnerable areas of life,
it's
right?
So
So like we're all looking for. I think about this all the time. Probably about a decade ago. I mean, I've had such a long arc around my relationship history that's been very complicated, a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff. And there was a point where I was talking to a therapist and I was just really like at my wit's end of anger during this period. And I was like, you know, all these cliches exist that are in conflict with each other. Like it happens when you're not looking, but also why aren't you on the apps and why aren't you putting in effort? And like, don't have a checkbox, but also like, why haven't you created like a manifestation list of the exact person you want to meet? Like all these weird whatever. And I was just kind of furious and venting. And she sort of stopped me and was like, I think all of those cliches exist because everybody's trying to make sense of an area of life that is genuinely pure chaos. Like you actually can't put parameters or control it. Like people fall in love in all kinds of ways. People who you're 100% sure are going to stay together don't. People who I thought would break up within 6 months have been married for 5 years. Like
I love it.
I think it's so interesting and we're all trying to make sense of it because it's something everyone wants and yet it's like so complicated.
And think about it. It's the purest thing that we have access to on an everyday basis is love, is giving people compliments, being kind to each other. If you look on the street and you're walking down, you know, whatever street you're on and you look at people, they're on their phone, right? They're in their phone. When was the last time you looked up and someone was like, oh, you just have such beautiful eyes? And there's nothing behind it. You actually just want to give them a compliment because that's the way you feel. And how much of a better day are they going to have, but you're going to have. Because you extended an act of love, an act of kindness. So it's very interesting because basically what we're trying to do is get everybody in this era to stop listening to the noise. And this is the problem on social media. And trust me, we can use it for good, right? Because this is what we do. We create content. But everybody's going to an outside resource for information when really all they need to do is tap within their body. Like what's happening in my internal world.
Can you share
to
that?
guide me.
I loved this, the bathroom tip.
Oh yes, the bathroom tip. Yeah, this is the body check, which is when we're sitting across from somebody and we are on a date for like an hour, we are in our head the entire time. You take a pause, you go into the bathroom and you literally stare in the mirror and you're doing a body check. And you're saying, how do I feel on this date? Not how does the person make me feel? Because a person can't make you feel anything. It's how you're feeling internally. Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling calm? Am I feeling like I'm having such a great time? Am I attracted? Like, how am I feeling in my body? If the nervous system is calm and like very like in flow, I like to say in like that flow mode, this is a good date. This is, I need more information. Let's get curious. If it's playful.
I did this, by the way, on a date last
week. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
Right out, like,
so here's another thing. You're like in the stall, you're like, is my like inner child coming out? Am I laughing with this person? You feel calm and you really lean into who you actually are. There is nothing that you need to show somebody when you go back out there after the match. You just are who you are. And if it's too much for somebody, that's not your person. And if you're not saying enough, that's not your person. You are authentically you, but you also want to check in with yourself. And by the way, a first date, you might not have enough information. That's a first date.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt. So here's I'm gonna share some stuff going on. So like getting out of the other side of this situationship that's been very emotional for me. And part of the reason that I've had a really hard time disconnecting from it is I feel like it, and this goes into for me, one of the things I've been repeating to myself is life doesn't make narrative sense, right? Like, so one of the narratives that exist amidst the cliches is like when you're not looking, when you're really just taking care of yourself, when you love yourself, there's also so much pressure about self-love and all that stuff. So I met someone a few months ago during this period where I'm like, anyone who asked me over a 3-month period, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm the best I've ever been, happiest I've ever been, genuinely not dating, just focusing on myself and my business. So I'm fitting all those archetypes. And then I meet this dude who, again, other things that you hear, like a very weird experience where we met at a party. We talked for 2 hours, and my nervous system, total stranger, felt completely quiet and calm. And I've never experienced that before. I was like, what the fuck is this? Not butterflies, calm and safe. And this ended up turning into this sort of long thing that's been drawn out. And it's been really interesting because we had this incredibly deep, very quick connection, not in the love bomby category, just like we really kind of saw each other. And you and I talked about this concept that I've never heard discussed before that I think is really interesting about, so I think people talk a lot about the idea of consistent love versus like hot, passionate spark love. I do hear that talked about.
Yes.
But this is a little different where it's like consistent love. So I've had plenty of people in my life who are just like there for me. They will show up, they will pick up the phone, they will have me over and cook me dinner, they will listen to me talk for hours. But I don't feel deeply seen by them. It's like I have to explain what's going on in my inner world a little bit. And sometimes that can make me feel really alone and like just invisible. And and they're showing up as much as they can. It's just like different when someone gets you.
Right.
And it sometimes just makes me feel like, again, someone who's had a lot of trauma, CPTSD, that I'm too complicated to connect with someone and really feel seen. And so when I met this person and it was the opposite. It's like the consistency was tough because they're in their own challenging place, but the feeling seen was like, I don't know if I've ever felt the seen by someone I've dated. Like, and there's a lot of question marks there where, and I'll ask your opinion right after this, but I've had so many friends weigh in with different things, where a friend of mine was like, well, maybe that's actually not great. Like maybe if you guys are too similar where you have, mirrored traumas and the same wounds, that there's no way to balance when you're having conflict, because if both of you are like, I'm being abandoned and everyone's leaving me, and then we both self-isolate, like if you have the same tendencies, then there's no sort of way to meet in the middle. I actually think it's really unique because I feel like usually you hear opposites attract, or like I wouldn't expect to be attracted to someone with a direct mirrored experience. Anyways, that's
so interesting
rant. So I'm curious to get your take on that.
Well, first of all, I love that you felt seen. And I think I have to be honest, I think that also comes from a very deep internal wound that you have. Like I feel the same. I'm very similar. I feel I have to explain myself to everybody, and only a certain amount of people get it. And do they really get it? I don't know. Right. I could tell you that every boyfriend I've ever had probably didn't get me fully, but I don't know if I exposed every area for them to get. Yeah. They got what they were supposed to get, and they kept trying to peel back layers, but I don't think I truly allowed my full self to be seen. Yeah. And that's where a little bit though of the explaining part comes in, because you're almost trying to like hump over the parts that you may not want them to see, just in general. I'm talking this not with this situation. I
have this thing, I don't know if this is true for you too, and this is me candidly naming some of my own bad traits, but I think I've done so much depth work. Like somebody asked me, what's your toxic trait? I was on a YouTube dating show. This is a whole other story. Oh my God, I love it. But they asked, what's your toxic trait? And I was like, this sounds silly, but I genuinely think my toxic trait is I'm too self-aware and too analytically aware of everything going on all the time. And I'm analyzing it all, even if it doesn't seem like it. And I think there's like too much going on there sometimes. And so I think sometimes there's guys that I date that a little bit I can just like outsmart, but it's partially out of like, is there anyone who can meet me where I'm at? But that sounds terrible to say, but it's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of those qualities, but also just knowing that you may attract somebody, and the person that may be really good for you could be the opposite. So it's someone that understands all that, but also for you especially, I think it's going to be someone where you do feel that sense of calm in your nervous system, so you don't have to explain everything, even if they don't get it, because they're not going to always get it. They're just not. And it's going to happen more than they are built differently. They do not understand everything that we do, even though there are some beautiful in-depth conversations I had more deeply with men than I've had with some of my friends.
Right.
But the overarching reasoning is that you are going to have things that you are going to feel someone doesn't understand about you, but the calming and the safety feeling is going to be everything, because that means that you can relax and they don't have to get it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the beauty of being the way we are. Because I would get really upset when someone didn't understand me. I'm talking about like a boyfriend. I'm like, I don't know how you don't get this. And also, why don't you think the way I do? I know I'm more that than you, but that comes from some deep rooted shit with my dad. And I know where it comes from. But I would project it onto them. And then I would expect them to give me what I needed. But what I really needed was to feel calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with you, I think it's like, I don't want to be less in your head, because that's almost like impossible for people like this. But I will say that more connection to your body is going to help you with observing less of where they are. Like, it's almost just like
it's a hypervigilance.
Exactly.
Right? It's totally a trauma
It's actually,
reaction.
that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm sourcing for any type of red flag, issue,
and
abuse.
the thing is, you're so playful and like fairy, like I would invite you. My piece of advice would be inviting you to bring more of that onto your date. Less up in your head, because this is what you also do for a living.
Right.
So let's go a little bit of the opposite way, the inner child way, and like bring more of that energy into the date.
So here's my challenging question on that.
Yes.
And I'm curious if you've experienced this. Again, I'm going deep on all my things.
Oh, I love it. I love it all.
The opposite that I've experienced, which was most of my early 20s, was I think people who, part of what I love about podcasting is you're really getting to see all sides of me, because I'm talking about it all. But people who meet me in a general context, whether that's, and I'm generally a huge extrovert, like out at a party, or if I'm hosting an event, because I was an event producer for 5 years, like people perceive only the sort of like inner child glowy fairy. And I've always had people who are attracted to that. And honestly, I don't even take it seriously when someone's attracted to me or think they have a crush on me from that persona, because I'm like, that is a part of who I am. That's an authentic part of who I am, but it's a part, right? And so I think what got missed for me in my early 20s was dating a lot of people who really liked, there's been two sort of venues. Either they really liked that part, and then when they got to know me more and I like was a human being with a lot of trauma and a lot of like, hey, I have an anxiety or a need, they were like, oh, you're not just like a fun magical fairy all the time. Like, okay, I'm out. Or I was like an emotional girlfriend to a lot of boys. Like that was definitely my archetype growing up, was like be best friends with all the guys and be like the emotional girlfriend, but then they're dating other girls and I'm just like there for emotional support. And that was my own boundary issue, just to be clear, for
I
years.
Understand that.
But like that was kind of where I landed, because I just didn't feel attractive when I was younger, or like I was getting any type of attention from boys. And that was how I figured out to connect with them, was like, oh, if I ask them about their dating life and let them vent to me about the girls, they're like
finding
me.
A point of connection. Yeah. Well, I would challenge you on that, just because number one, you're not in your 20s now. So you're all of, so this is the thing, even with parts work, I don't know if you've done parts work. Okay. So but you're all of that. Yeah. Like this is the thing. So you are the fairy playful one. Then you are the very in-depth analytical, emotional, PTSD from trauma. You're that. And then you're this like combination where you're looking for someone that understands all that. But the only way for someone to feel like, oh, you're too emotional, you're sharing all this, is to also show the other part. Because the thing is, when you're showing that part, they want to get to know all of the parts. And I'm not saying just put the fairy part first. That's not my point. But the point is to tap into the thing that makes like almost like brings you the most joy. Yeah. Because that stuff is there, but you're a combination of all of it. So I don't think it's about, oh, if I highlight that, then they're not going to think that I'm an emotional being. And if I really show them all my thoughts about, this personal development topic, then they're not going to think I'm playful and fun. But like, I'm the same way. Like, you're all of those things and you're very unique and rare, but you have to also be willing to share all of that. Yep. And I would say men today are not used to the playful stuff. I'm sorry, but I'll be on the male side for now, which is, they don't feel like they're having fun either. Most
of my guy friends are just like,
they're like, all right, so
you're talking to a dating coach today. Like, can we hire her?
And by the way, just FYI, I have so many more male clients now. It's actually amazing women, because it means that they're open to doing the work, and they're like, just tell me what I'm doing wrong. No, you're actually not doing anything wrong, but it's really like tapping into the like all of the parts that you are.
Yeah.
Fine, this guy is chivalrous and has a serious job, but he's also loves to go to concerts and play sports.
Yeah.
But are we getting that side? I don't know. So my point in this is that we all have these parts that are going to come out anyway.
Right.
So why not lead with the part that brings you the most joy, and then also they get to see the energy. And then you can then you're like, oh, so she's a fairy and she's deep and she's beautiful inside and out and she's got all these layers, but I want to know more now.
Yeah.
Because your energy is light and deep.
Yeah.
I am that. I am playful and light, but when I'm on a date, I am like, no joke. Like, what are you going to show me that I should meet you where you are? Because I already know, like, I'm going to say 3 things that you know nothing about. But by the way, so they can say 3 things that I know nothing about, but I take over because I'm powerful.
Dude, I do that.
Right?
I had a therapist challenge me on that too once, where I called them
but it's
the
too
what about
and
you
I
dates.
and I don't even want to go. I won't even go into the masculine, but it's too powerful sometimes for them, and they don't know what to do with it.
I also think I'm an interviewer, and I was a therapist, and I was a coach. Like, of course I take over.
I started in red carpet hosting. Like,
actually,
I interviewed
you
a
gave
million
me
people.
that great advice too, where I said, I was talking about with these dates that I tend to have this, I don't know where this came from, but I developed this maybe during my facilitator days, like 8 years ago, where I was facilitating a lot of group circles. And I think I really like getting to know people. It's my own bias in a particular way where I like to walk through their history. So I usually start with, oh, tell me about you. If they usually, I'll be like, tell me about your life. There's usually a joke about like, oh, my entire life. And then I'll just be like, well, where did you grow up? That's always my opener.
Okay.
And it gives me the full scope of like, it's my facilitator figuring out the full tree so I can figure out which branches to go down that we have in common. So it's like, okay, I lived in Florida, Colorado, this place. I worked here and there. And I'm like, oh, actually, I lived in Colorado, so I'm going to jump down that branch.
Right.
But you gave me advice because I usually take it down all of those.
Wait, is this in interviewing people or dating or both?
Dating.
Okay.
But,
okay.
A little
I
bit.
would definitely change that up for dating.
Tell me more.
But like you, I want to hear what I gave you because I don't even know.
I
don't even know what I said because I spit.
What you said to me was a pattern disrupt for me, which was like, instead of sort of like forcibly taking them down the path that you're trying to like get them down, see what they lead with, like see what topic they bring up, and then just ask further about that topic because it's clearly something they want to bring up, and to be noticing like, oh, if they mention something offhand about their dad being sick an hour ago, to maybe bring that up again at a later point and be like, oh, you mentioned your dad was sick. Are you gonna go visit him? Where does he live? You were at my apartment and you were like, oh, Nantucket, are you going back this summer? Are you looking forward to it? Like just noticing small details and opening where they're giving you openings versus me treasure hunting to find the openings that I want to talk about.
I literally feel like we're so like it's so scary because I was losing it too. I broke up with somebody a year ago and I was living with him and I was going to get married to him and all the things. He wasn't my person, and we kind of always knew it. It wasn't an energetic match, which is what I love to say. But back to what I was doing wrong, which relates to what you just said. I would lead everything because I'm a curious person. I'm so curious that I want to know things that you may not be ready to share.
Right.
And that
totally
is the thing. So not everybody is going to be on that level where they're just going to open up. Here's all my layers. And by the way, the fun of dating is getting to know all those things, right? So you got to leave some, it's like sex. It's like, it's not going to be amazing on the first time. I'm sorry. It just won't, unless it's like the hot, passionate sex situationships. That's different. But I mean, they have to be, you need to like learn each other. You need to learn each other's bodies. You need to be, right? You're exploring. But when you go on a first date and you lead, it does start to feel like an interview for them. And I will tell you that every guy has told me that.
Interesting. Every
single guy. They don't want to feel like it's an interview. And also females too. Like they're like, oh, he asked so many questions. It was like rapid fire. It was like an interview. She's like, I felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So here's the key. It's to pausing, because we're talkers, but it's pausing and allowing them to share. So you could share first.
It's my own discomfort with the silent pause, right?
Right.
Because I know how to fill it and ask a question.
The silent pause is everything.
Yeah.
Because it's what comes after the pause is something that they would like to talk about, that they would like, even if they're enforcing it.
I think I've gone out, because on Hinge, you can't get the you don't get a full picture till you're out with them. That often I've gone out with guys where like, honestly, I like a different part of my brain, which is always when I know it's not for me. When my facilitator brain turns on,
oh yeah,
I'm like, oh,
So
we're
in a
not
trip.
right. Cause I'm like, I'm facilitating you because you're really awkward, can't hold a conversation, won't ask me a question. I'm stuck with you on a date because we're drinking, like we have a drink. We're sitting here for another at least 20 minutes. So like, all right, I'm just going to turn this into like there was a guy I went out with who not a match, but I ended up, he was a pyrotechnic who did the fireworks for Disney.
Oh, cool.
I ended up learning about how they wire all of that for a half hour. It was a learning lesson.
Exactly. And here's the thing I always say, there's always three things that are going to happen. You're going to learn something new about yourself, the way you operate on the date. You're going to observe your own behavior. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I didn't like that. Like I've done it. If I have 2 cocktails, I will say something that's a little out of turn and I'll be like, oh, Harmonie, but I'm like, but he's going to get it anyway. So I might as well just say it now because I'm not by the way, I'm not in the camp of holding things back on the first date. People will disagree with me. I'm telling you, you might as well get it all out there because they're going to find it out on a second or third date. Why waste time? Okay, back to that. So you're going to learn something about yourself. Then you're going to learn something about them. Doesn't mean it has to be something romantic. You just said you learned all about fireworks.
Irony, without fireworks between us, I learned about fireworks.
That's so funny. It would have been great if there were fireworks. But the point is you're going to learn something about them that you never knew before.
Yeah.
And it could be something so cool. It doesn't mean that you have to be romantically linked, but wow, I just learned something about somebody's family, by the way, that was so interesting to me because I didn't grow up like that. And that's so cool. And then 3, you're going to learn something that is more about the kind of person that you are aligned to and the relationship that you want just by having this conversation with them. So if you walk away with 3 pieces of knowledge like that, you cannot have a bad time because you can't allow yourself to have a bad time. You have to say, I walked out knowing more than I walked in about all 3 things, and that's a win. That's a win.
Great. So I think the issue I run into personally is like, because this has been such a core wound for me for so long that I come up against what I call like my frustrated part where it's there's this part of me that almost wants to be like, no, I'm suffering and kind of throw a temper tantrum so that everyone can see like I'm suffering and I haven't found my person and it's easy for other people and wants to like pitch a shit fit about it. So I think what I sometimes run into is like, that was a waste of time. Why is it so easy for other people? Someone else met their person. One of my best friends met his person at like 23. They've been together since. Like all these things where it's like, why is it just like, why do I have to learn something or learn more things to find a better aligned person versus just tripping into it like some other people?
I hear that every day. And also 20s, 30s, 40s. It's so funny.
Right.
Because you weren't meant to. And this is your path. And I really believe in that. And in the sense of you're meant to do a lot in this world. And if you were supposed to meet someone at 23, you would have.
Right.
And you probably did. By the way, you probably did. And there could be many soulmates and they can all pass us by, but the where you are supposed to be and who is meant for you cannot be taken away. I believe it. I know it. Look at where you are now than where you were 10 years ago. You're not the same person.
Night and day.
And you know what? There are people, it's okay. There are people that are meant to be with people at a younger age and hopefully they stay together forever. But you are where you are. Right. And I will tell you that every day I hear those things about wasting time. Why'd I even get dressed? Oh my God. But if you think about dating like that, you will not meet somebody.
And that's why I'm trying to reframe right now.
You have to reframe because think about how you help so many people. But now it's time to reframe your story around dating.
It's actually part of the reason I'm interested in podcasting about it because I'm like, it gives meaning to it for me because I'm like, now I can talk about it and tell stories.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many dates I walked down and I'm like, oh my God, like that was an hour that I can never get back.
Right.
Like back in and I'm like, wait a minute, but I really feel like I'm getting closer. Like I just learned so much on this date. And also and if the guy's not for me at all, I learned what is not for me. I know that is not something that I can compromise on. So I just learned something new, which means that when I get closer each time, that I'm certain when it comes in, I will feel it. And that's the body stuff. So someone that's very analytical, you have to tap in more. Are you doing breath work? Are you doing hot yoga? Are you doing something that allows you to get out of here and get into here? Because it all comes from the heart.
Yeah.
But we're stuck up here for the hour that we're sitting across from a stranger. We're trying to think what to say. We are also expecting them to say something that is going to light us up. That is not their job. Their job is to be exactly who they are. And do you get along and laugh and you're like, ooh, this person's interesting, more information? Because as you know, a date, my matchmaker, Lee's on the show, would always say, a date is information, Harmony. Like, do you have enough? Do you have enough? And I'm like, I don't know. I think so. She's like, well, that was a 3-hour date. That's not enough information to know if you're going to go out with him again. You need to go on a second date. Because if it's a hell no, it's a second date. Of course, we have inclination. But I would just say, feeling into your body is everything.
Yeah.
So when you do that bathroom check and you look in the mirror, ask yourself, how do I feel right now?
I have so many different directions I want to go here. So like one direction I'm curious about kind of like when that changes, right? So someone who I did feel safe with, and then there's a moment where that dynamic shifts after it was there for a while. Like I think that's where people can get
And what was the shift?
Like finding out that they're not over an ex, finding out that there's all this stuff going on that I wasn't aware of, that it's that I go from a month of like deep nervous system calm to like deep like trauma panic, like dropped into my triggers, just like out of control.
Yeah.
And then it's like, is that me and my stuff? Is that them? Is this just not a good match? Like all of those questions. So that's a curiosity. And then I'm also kind of, I want to run you through this date that I went on.
Oh, I can't wait. I want a juicy one.
Yeah, it's a juicy one. It's a fun one.
Well, I would say 2 things. I've had that happen to me with that dynamic, and you feel safe and calm, and then something will set you off. Yes. No. Is it about...
it disrupts the when you know thing that people say. I'm like, well, I knew, and then I knew
I
otherwise.
I will say I don't really subscribe to you'll know when you know. I know a lot of people do.
I don't think I've ever actually heard anyone say that. And that makes me really happy.
I don't subscribe to it because I think you have to be really in the place that you are really open to that. That's why. Yeah. I do think that if the right person comes in and you're in the right position, that you will know, because it's in your body. It's intuitive. You can't even like deny it. But if you're not there, it's not going to happen. You're not going to feel that. You're going to be neutral. You're going to be in the gray area. You're going to be like, I don't know. And that's more about you when you're asking that shift. It's also a mirror reflection of where you still are. So yes, I can calm down for a month and then I go into something and like the trauma based, but why would that be on him? It's on you, of the way you still regulate. Like your regulation of that is going to be your job. Yeah. Not his. Because there will be something triggering that happens in any relationship at any moment. So you could feel very safe and consistent. And then something will happen where you will go right back into that place where you were. And that's okay, because that's actually the most human thing that can happen. It's how you regulate. Yeah. That's everything. Huh. Everything. And that means you weren't ready. And that wasn't your person. Yeah. Because that dynamic also, yes, it wouldn't make you feel the same way, but also you haven't done the full scope of when that does happen, what you're going to do with it. Right. Right. So there's a little bit more work to do there. Yes. Yeah. I like that. Okay. So, the date, and also the other concept that I want to chat with you about too, because I'm kind of just interested in this idea of dating as a deeply feeling person. Yeah. I got into, so I studied clinical mental health counseling for a semester before I got poached out to be an executive coach. And I got into, I think you'll get a kick out of this, my grad school off an essay called, Am I an Emotional Slut? And this has been a theme of my life, again, starting with this like emotional girlfriend thing that I did early on, where it's like, I think there's not really words for this in the English language, but there's friends with benefits. There's girls who are slutty or sleep around. I think I'm the emotional version of that. And there was never any verbiage for that. And it took me a long time to like unpack that was what was happening, where it's like, I want to stay up till 3 a.m. diving into this man's like vulnerabilities. And then so like, I knew you'd relate to that. I'm literally that person. And so my essay it was my therapist, actually, like an old therapist I had when I was like 23 or something, who was the first person who said it to me, because I kept having these situations of these like really deep emotional connections. And I had somebody who for a year would be, again, there's no terminology for this, friends with emotional benefits. Oh yeah. We were like blah blah blah. Yeah, we were sleeping in the same bed. We were talking till 4 a.m. all the time, but we never hooked up. Oh. He was like, we're just friends, and I was like, this is the most insane, crazy making situation of all time. That's a whole separate cup of tea. But yeah, like my therapist was like, do you think you're an emotional slut? And I was like, that's amazing. My brain just broke. I feel like I am definitely that. Yeah. I love it. If you're not staying up till 3 or, by the way, if you can't stay up till 2 or 3 and talk about things, you're like, out. Yeah, exactly. That's my deal breaker. This is guys are like, all right, can we go to bed? No, do you know I have like 3 boyfriends? Like, could we go to bed? Yeah. That's me. I'm like, it's like they're literally passing out. I'm like, so like, do you believe in aliens or ghosts? And have you had any like paranormal experiences? And they're like, what the fuck?
It's literally 4 in the morning.
Wait, did we say, what sign are you again?
What's that? Gemini.
Oh, right. That's my, right.
Yeah.
I'm Aquarius, and then Gemini is my rise. Oh
Okay.
No wonder.
This is why we connect.
Okay. Anyway. But yeah, if you're not staying up till 2 or 3 in the morning, you're out.
You're out. I'm just like, if you can't do that with me, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whole separate.
We'll do that. We'll do that on voice notes.
Yes. But okay, so this date that I went on, I kind of want to dig into this a little bit. Just because I think A, it's like funny, but B, just noticing dating dynamics. So I'm on the rebound, so I'm kind of like a little bit more flex about someone who's putting in low effort, right? So that's what played out here. So I meet this guy at a party. He's hot. He's good conversationalist. Asked for my number. Text me. Is going out of town for a week, but is like, let's meet up when I get back. Great. Text me on Sunday and is like, let's go out on Wednesday. We agree on a time.
Great.
No place selected. Whatever. Okay, so Wednesday, 3 p.m.
No place selected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wednesday at 3 p.m., I got a text that's like, can we actually move to 7? Like, you won't believe the week I had, blah, blah, I want to take a nap. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. And he's like, cool, I'll let you know, like, ETA and location when I wake up. 6:10 p.m. for a 7 p.m. date.
Wait, 6:10 for a 7 p.m. date.
Correct.
Okay.
I text him.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, hey, dude, I think we should rain check. And he's like, no, I'm up 7 p.m. at Oakberry. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And I was like, hey, I feel like at this point, I didn't even know if we were still meeting up.
Right.
And I'd rather meet up like when we're both at 100%. So let's just plan to rain check unless I'm misunderstanding something. And then I get like a whole text that's like, first off, his first text, I was crying laughing. His first text, because I had said when we're both at 100%, he goes, well, I'm actually at 98%, and that's the best that I ever get. Like, excellent start. And then it was like a whole rant where he was like, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to seem like too casual. I just kind of wanted to like get to know you and didn't want to like be overly formal about it, blah, 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 blah. So I think he's in his head, whatever. So you never know what's going on with the other person.
At all.
So he's like, but if you still want to meet up tonight, I would love to do that. Otherwise, if you want to pick another night, that's fine too.
Love it.
So I'm like, all right, let's just do this. I was so tempted to cancel, but I was like, I'm on the rebound. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So we go out. We have a great time. I do something that is wildly out of character for me, where I sleep with him on the first date. I've literally never done that.
Okay.
But okay. So we go. Here's the kind of layout of the night. So we go to the first bar. There wasn't any check dance. He hands his card straight to the bartender. Love that. So I love that.
Just by the way, can we just stop? We need to pause for that.
Yeah.
Everybody should just be doing that. Okay, we don't need this whole thing about money. I can't, and I don't. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, and everyone has their own opinions on it.
Everyone has their own opinions. People can disagree.
I was like,
but just it shouldn't even be an awkward moment. That's the thing.
Okay, but
just hand the card.
But here's
to the
follow-up
bartender.
to that. So we do that. We have one drink there. We go to a second bar.
Okay.
We have a great chat. He's like touching my back. I'm like turned on. We're actually having pretty deep conversation too. Obviously a turn on for me. I'm like my kink is emotional intelligence and like deep conversations.
Deep. Boom.
Yeah.
Open.
Right.
Open for business.
And but then we get to the check for that place. I'm curious your take on this because it's the second location. And I do pull out my wallet that time to do the check dance, and he like lets me pay. And I was like,
no,
no,
don't. Nope. I mean, listen,
love it.
I will have probably people that are going to disagree with this podcast.
100%.
But I am in the camp. And he did. Okay, so I'll say courting is a thing. However, he did say, okay, is a little bit of a casual date. Like, I don't want to be over formal. So he did. I give him props because he prefaces by saying it's kind of casual. He did say that.
That's fair.
However, casual or not, they pay. And that's the end of the story. You do not take out your wallet. You don't even take it out. Yes, that you offer on a second or third, maybe.
Right.
Even then, I say no. It should be at least 5 to 7 dates. However, that's courting. That's a different process.
Yeah.
But even if you're offering, he should never take your money. Yeah. Unless he is so, like, if he doesn't have a job. Okay, fine.
Please, this man's at, like, mission control at a SpaceX.
So...
Like,
no.
Yeah.
No. He should be paying for everything. But go on. That's
whatever.
my take.
I kind of didn't love it, but I was like...
Especially if this story is going to end with what I think you're going to say.
I had already pre-commit. I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try something. Because I'm in this MO where I'm like, I want a pattern break.
Yeah.
You know, I want to I haven't met someone. I generally haven't dated for the last... Or I haven't had feelings for anyone.
But even more so, you should have had him pay for extra things if that was what was going to happen.
Okay. So we then go, basically, we're like drunk at this point. I'm in rebound mode, so I'm not taking anything seriously. We wander... We go to another bar, then it's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, all right, let's go back to mine.
Who paid at that bar?
We didn't get anything at that bar. We go back to mine. we start hooking up. Then it's just like, all right, this is going to happen. So, we have sex. Super interesting experience in that alone because I haven't slept with someone who I don't have any feelings for since probably college, like a long time.
Yeah, it's very different.
And drunk, like it felt like I was in college doing it, and I was kind of like, this is actually a really interesting anthropological experience for me as a 32-year-old to see like what is this like. I was thinking of your thing about like you learned something about the dynamic or what you and I was like, this is so interesting because like technique wise everything's good, but I'm just like not emotionally connected, so it's just kind of like whatever. And then I was like, well, this dude's definitely not sleeping over, like whatever. So I'm like dropping hard hints, and then he finally is like, you probably have an early morning. Like noon. I'm like, yeah, super early. I have a 4-hour morning.
By the way, I just have to say something because I've had this so many times. You know, we're worse. You think guys are bad? No, we are worse. Okay, I literally will say I have to get up for a meeting at 8:30 tomorrow. I'm never getting up for a meeting at 8:30.
I lied about that. I was like, I have an 8 a.m. I have an 8 a.m. call.
I don't think I do anything before 10.
Same.
People who know this about me just know.
I'm giving away my secrets now.
Early birds, fine. I don't knock it. They get more done, fine.
But I find sleeping in the same bed more intimate than sex. I've always said that. Like,
but I'm just saying, like, if I'm kicking you out, I'm telling you I have an 8:30 meeting, and I don't. So if you get that, I gotta get up really early. Yeah. So we have our own things, but yes, like if you're not feeling an intimate connection, you don't want them to stay. That's how it rolls.
It's so interesting because again, so interesting for me where I was like, yeah. Sex is very intimate. Haven't done this with someone like so. Anyways, very interesting experience. Yeah. Then he doesn't want to leave for like 40 minutes. He wants to like snuggle and hang out, and then he wants to plan a second date. And I'm like, I'm so confused. And then he's like, we should hang out Saturday or at the latest Monday, whatever. And I was like, okay. Like I guess he's like, I mean, I'm incredible. So like, you know, whatever. Exactly. So I finally get him to leave. Never hear from this man again, which I was wait. There's a follow-up to this. So 6 days later, and I'm definitely just never hearing from this dude again. And I didn't care because I was like, again, I'm just on the rebound. Yeah. Which I also thought was interesting from that sort of bias of like women get attached after sex. And I was like, actually, there was no attachment.
That's not true.
I was like,
I don't know
when there wasn't an emotional connect first, like, okay, yesterday, 6 days later, 6 p.m., I get a text. Hola, beach date tomorrow.
Oh my god. It's casual.
And I'm doing it.
Of course you're doing it.
You know what? We're on the rebound. We're living our dream.
Here's the deal. If you know what it is.
Right.
There you go. Then that's what it is.
Right.
And it's okay. I would say if you had a good time and you had good sex and you're on a rebound and this feels good to you, why not? Like, go, you got to live your life and you got to have fun and do it. But what I will say is if it starts to feel a little more connective and it's not going to go in the place that you want it to, like, meaning it could shift like that. That's the thing.
I know.
So the minute you start talking deeper, the minute you get more connective, the minute you're having more sex, you're cuddling longer, you will get attached in the sense. And if he's not there or can't go there, just know what it is. So I just say this. Yes, it's hard to pull away because a lot of women in situationships wanted to go somewhere. And men too, by the way. This goes for
I'm
both
using
sides.
it to detach from the other situationship that I'm still
But I just also don't want you to get into another situationship that is different than this one. Because here's this one was so emotional. And then now you're having
this one's sexual. And we're going to switch to the other side.
Yeah. So it's like you're seeing both things that you need though, which could be a really good thing because what you want to do is marry those pieces. And the problem that we fall into is we're going for either one. You know, it's like you got this, but you don't got the, you know, you have this. And here's what it's a beach day. It's casual. Wherever you go after that, girl, you slept with him already. Wherever you go after that, let him pay.
Oh, he's bringing. I was like, you're bringing the wine. You're buying bottles and bringing the wine.
He needs to do all the things if he wants more. I'm saying if he wants more, he needs to do more. And you just said to me something about minimal effort. Yeah. Just in general, you're like, oh, I can attract this guy. If you want a higher standard and you want men to put in effort, you need to show that is where you are. I don't want to say expect because I don't like the entitled thing. I don't subscribe to that.
I don't either.
No one should expect anything or be entitled. However, if that is your standard, that's what you need to live in. Like that is being of integrity with what you want. Otherwise, you're going to be like, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this. Yeah. And that's what you're going to get.
You know, the other thing I've been thinking about, I heard this on a podcast and it's been sitting with me for like a week and a half now, was this idea of tactics versus, I forget what the other word they used was, but not integrity, but something along those lines. So this idea of like, I have a friend right now who's in the epitome of like an anxious avoidant dynamic. Right.
Every relationship I've been in has been that.
Christ. This guy is like text. I mean, they're both like 23, so it's like textbook.
Yeah. Okay.
And
23.
So it's like the second this dude starts ignoring him, avoidant boy suddenly starts, whatever. It's a back and forth between the two of them, and I get to hear about it every day. It's highly entertaining. But like how to kind of break out of when you're stuck in a situationship like that, because it can get you so trapped in a. So, but anyways. This tactic idea of like, he's like, well, whenever I ignore him, he immediately magnetizes to me, right? So I'm going to ignore him and not respond to his text in order to get that. But then it's like, but you're doing that as a tactic,
right?
Which means it's not an authentic action.
Yeah, it's
and
testing.
So it's creating the furthered cycle.
Yeah, it's a test.
Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle. I've been in it. Another reason I know I'm an anxious partner until I'm not. Right, when I feel calm, like you just described, which, by the way, is a rare thing for me to feel. But again, that's about my self-regulation. But when I'm with an avoidant, it is like death for me. It's like death for an anxious person because that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They will shut down. They will not text you back, and they will let you sit with it. And as an anxious person, I need to communicate. I need to know that you need a moment. So if you need a moment to step out, just be like, oh, you know what? I need a minute to like really think about this, but I'm coming back. So it is all in the communication. And right now, I know they're young and I don't like to use age, but somebody has to shift that dynamic. Otherwise it will never change.
Right.
They'll just go on in that cycle.
Right.
But if they need something more to happen, they're going to have to be the one to do it. So for instance, I said to like my partner, like, it really makes me anxious when you do this. But really what I need to say is when we argue or when we have a conflict, by you not responding, I feel unsafe. Because I do. Like, I don't think you're coming back.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult thing that's an abandonment wound that I've had, but I know you're coming back, but I actually don't really know if you're coming back.
Yeah.
And so by exercising the thing that you need in a loving and kind way is the way to deliver that. And it might not happen every time, but you have to say the thing that you need, but coming from the vulnerable place where it comes from.
Yeah.
Instead of you do this, you avoid me, you shut down. That's what I used to do. How can you hang up on me? Like that to me is the ultimate disrespect. And I've been hung up on. And then I realized my dad used to hang up on me. And I'm like, holy shit, this is where it comes from. Because I would, even if I hung up with someone, I'm like, I gotta go. And but they just hang up. And I'm like, wait, did I drive them to that? No, they just don't know how to handle the conversation because I'm coming at them. I'm like, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. And what is someone going to do? They're pushed too far. They're gonna break. So what I learned about my own, I'm like, oh, I'm actually just really scared to tell them the way I feel when that happens. Because they're going to leave.
Right. Same. Yeah.
So if you go into the actual thing of what it's about, then you can start to shift the narrative. But until you do that and own it, they're going to be like, this is the way they are. This is the way they handle it. So I don't believe in the actual, like, the avoidant anxiousness. There are levels. It's just not cut and dry.
I think sometimes right now pop psychology takes it over.
I don't know about you, but
he's avoidant, never speak to him again. And
I don't know about you, but don't you have an avoidant tendency? I do.
Yeah, totally.
I do. So that means I have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I just lean anxious, but I have avoidance. I will literally shut down.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah. So know that when you're in a relationship, that's what's going to, but you have to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say about that.
Okay, I have a different question.
I can't wait to go out with this guy tomorrow, though. I mean, it's just, I want you to have a good time.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear what happens after. Because then when you start to go into third, fourth, 50, it's going to get dicey if it changes. So I'm curious. Get more information.
More information. Okay, totally separate end of the spectrum. So I have a friend who has been living with her partner for years. They've been together 7 years, and they're at a breaking point right now. That's like, are they going to get married and are they not? And she's actually the stopper on it because she's, I think, in debate around basically like he feels more like a best friend. And so they're in this deep sort of like couples therapy, going through the rounds, trying to figure out, do they just need to live separately to like date again? Is a best friend enough? Is that, is it picking at issues that aren't there, and actually they would break up and she would quickly realize that they all these questions. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that type of scenario.
They're so bonded in so many ways. So when someone separates like that. Esther Perel just did this amazing episode on just this. And it was about couples that were married for a long time and then, felt like they were more friends and they're together for so long. And what do? Somebody wants to get divorced. And really it's about like going back into like the fiery part of them and redating each other. And kind of getting back to the reason that they came together in the first place. So I don't know if it's living apart per se, because I also think that's not wonderful, because you're giving someone so much space that you're like, oh, if this happens again, we can go to like our separate entities. But I will say that maybe doing some work about reigniting the spark of how they got together in the first place. And they may need a little help. They may need a little support. They may need to go to a sex club. They may need to go to like, they might something that they probably wouldn't do to get them out of this
Also
too. By the way, and I'm not saying they're meant to be together forever. Right. I don't know. But to see if it's there, because honestly, I was with someone for a year and I felt that the monotony of the everyday can really start to get to you if you don't start to appreciate why you were together in the first place, which is when someone compliments you and they're attracted and they're trying to impress you and they're taking you on dates. Where's that part? Like they need to get back to that part. It's very hard though, because the 7 years, you're like in your groove. But if you're not married, because they're not married, right?
They're not.
After 7 years, you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
It's the 7-year itch for the not married couple. Right. They have to make a decision. Yeah. It's like shit or get off the pot. I'm sorry, old school, but you have to. I
think that's sort of the breaking point there. That's
so if she's and
they met as roommates, by the way. So like kind of an interesting dynamic. They never got to do the really like.
And to answer your question, you do need more best friend. You need to have the lover aspect. Yeah. You must not. I know there are some people that don't. I know some people don't.
Yeah, ascribe otherwise.
Yeah, and listen, there are levels of passion. Like that was a problem I had. I always dated people where I felt like they were my best friend. Yeah. But I didn't have the passion. Because the passion were in like the situationships and you don't need the fireworks in your serious relationship, but you absolutely need to feel passion. You do. It's not going to be every day, but you need to look at that person and know that there is more than a roommate compatibility situation. You just do. Otherwise, now what will happen like a year from now? Right. And they're married. Yeah. Like you have to reignite. Yeah. And if it's, by the way, and if it's
I think
not
at that point
there,
you do just have a roommate.
And if it's not there, then you move on. Yeah. As sad as that might be, because why settle? Yeah. Then they could just be friends. But I hope it works out because I wanted to. If someone's together for 7 years, there's a reason. So maybe they can find that again. Maybe let's send them to a sex club.
I actually love that.
Something that just
kind of feel like she would maybe say yes.
Yeah, because think about it. You're reading character. Yeah, it's like you're watching a movie, or you're like, you start to get like excited. Like you need to bring more excitement. Date nights. Yes. Surprising. So one person plans it each week, and they don't know what it is. So every Tuesday or Wednesday, they're going on a date night, come hell or high water, and they don't know what's happening when they get home. That excellent. Other person plans it. Okay. Element of surprise reignites the excitement.
Love.
And it's hot. Take me to a picnic. I don't know where I'm going. Blindfolded. That's a whole other podcast. Go on.
Amazing. Okay, I think we're getting to the end of our time, so I'm gonna let's see. I want to figure out where I want to wrap up here. Like, sure. I think again, what you said to me earlier is still what's sitting with me around this idea of
any hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, we got the hard-hitting questions. So dating with trauma. So when you have trauma triggers and you're so context would be like, I've had a lot of bad dating situations. One that had a like legitimate PTSD reaction for me that I spent 6 years working through in therapy. That was when I was like 18, 19. And that's something that I've kind of coped with and unpacked, and definitely like there, of course, childhood stuff, all the fun amalgamation of the things. Yeah. That this is the one area of my life that's just always been a shit show, and I kind of joke. I'm like, I can manifest anything in the career space or in but when it comes to this, it's just like, a non-starter. So
well, let me just say your biggest your biggest trauma points only show up in one place, and that's romantic relationships.
Right.
That's it. Like, they're not showing up in friendships. There'll be an
Yeah.
inclination, but it's showing up
Right.
only in your romantic relationships to test where you are. And that is a mirror relationship to where you are. So if you're hanging on to this, and I don't mean hanging on to the trauma, because
I'm
we
with
all
you.
have it.
Yeah.
I have it. Every
Yeah.
day I talk to my dad, who's like very sick. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I hear I could go back to the point where you yelled at me, and then I yelled at my partner, and there we go. Right. But it's literally up to you how much you want that to bleed into where you're going now. And you have a choice to truly surrender into that and separate it. And you'll get triggered. That's not what I mean.
Yeah.
And separate it and to really shift into dating differently from your heart space and
Can you
not
say
from
a
the
little more on
trauma.
that? I'm super curious
Yeah,
about that.
because it's not dating from the trauma space,
Yeah.
because everyone is going to trigger you that you date.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and it's going to happen multiple times, because that's what romantic relationships do. They show you where you are not healed. And by the way, you do not need to be fully healed to be in a relationship. Nobody is. I mean, it doesn't exist. So that old saying, like, nobody is, but how much that leads is up to you. So the trauma, if it's still there and something triggers you, you have a choice to let it be over here and deal with that separately, and to continue dating in a curious way where you want to show up differently, because what you have been doing isn't working.
Yeah.
And when you do something that isn't working, as we know over and over, insanity, but what are we going to do to show up different? I think for you, and I just saw you, like, met you, what? I don't even know. I'm like, you're so involved in what you do for others, and you could see things so clearly, but your own, to me, is so clear, which is what I said at the beginning, is to tap into the little girl playful self that wants to connect with somebody on that level, because the emotionality will come. That will come after. That will come during, because you're never going to be with someone that's not deep. It just won't happen.
Yeah, true.
So that's why I'm not worried about you meeting someone where you have deep conversations. But that playfulness will allow you to separate the trauma piece, because you're leading from the little girl within. I love, like, I want to connect. I want to love. My essence is love. If your essence is love, you can't let that come in and sort of take over what you're always meant to have. And I think that it will block you a little. I think the trauma will block you from having that.
I mean, I think that's what it just played out.
And I don't want to say we use it as an excuse. That's not the word.
I understand what you're saying.
But we use it as something that is okay, that blocks us from the thing that we deserve and want the most. And if you think of it like that, you'll be on a date and something will come into your mind where you're like, oh my God, this is this coming up again. And you have a choice to shift out of that, and kind of, it's uncomfortable, like, but come from a different place. Even if they say something so fucking annoying, you're like, I am not down with that. Oh my God. But like, where did that come from? How did you even think about that? And you ask a different question, it will get you out of that space into like more curious mode. Like, is this aligned for me? Is this right for me?
Right.
So I would just invite you to have that playfulness. You going to the beach tomorrow and doing all that, that's your playful side. That's your fun little, like, come out. And then when the other thing comes in, you're like, ooh, let me table that. A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in coach therapy mode. But this needs to be less, because that will be used. And then the fun, like, you know, joyful you needs to lead down.
Yeah. I've realized the therapist mode is a protector piece for me.
And we all do,
sure.
as coaches.
Yeah. It's like so easy to protect.
Like, so, you know, but I would just say tomorrow be light and fun.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on and
Thank
diving
you
into like
so
20,000 different topics with me.
This was amazing.
I love you.
I will dissect all your situations and for
Enjoy you.
everybody. And I would just say, like, the last piece of advice is to just have fun with it. Like, every date should be fun.
Have a nice time.
Yeah. And if they're not fun, you are. Because I go home and I'm like, I'm a blast.
You are a blast.
And so are you. So it's like, you can't have a bad time. And by the way, nothing is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because you'll learn something new and you will literally, like, walk away with a new experience. And how many people can say that?
Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
At Harmonie Krieger. And we'll write it out, right? Do I have to spell? Okay.
Sure.
Harmonie with an IE. At Harmonie Krieger on Instagram is probably the best.
Yep.
And then Lox Club, which is, you know, if anybody wants some coaching sessions or matchmaking, they can go to Lox Club and find me as well.
Great.
So
excellent.
yeah.
Harmony.
Thank you so much, Margaret.
Love
You're
you.
amazing.
You
My
too.
little fairy emotional princess. I'm taking all applications. I have to screen them for her.